I've talked a lot about testing being our key to the phased reopening of our state, and really what's going to happen around the country as well. We're going to unveil more about that phased reopening over the coming days. But I want to be very clear that we have a goal in Louisiana. It's actually an imperative. It's not a goal to do much more testing here. It's our responsibility as a state to work with healthcare providers, local officials, our federal partners, with companies that manufacture and distribute the necessary things that we need for testing. We're going to be doing that. And it's not just a function of the lab capacity, whether it's in-state or out-of-state labs. You know, we've been talking a lot about LabCorp and Quest, for example. The challenge right now, at least, and it has been for a while, and had a call with the nation's governors today, 44 governors on a call, and this is something that's being faced by every state. The challenge is on sourcing the specimen collection kits to the degree that we need to feel comfortable. So we're talking about swabs, we're talking about viral transport medium, and we're talking about reagent. And of course, we're trying to manufacture as many of those things in-state as possible and source them wherever possible. And much like we have seen, at least to date, with respect to PPE, we think that this is going to get better over time as well. But it's something we're working very hard on. But with respect to testing, it really is imperative that individual members of the public, Louisiana citizens, get tested when you should be tested. And this is what I mean. If you have symptoms, and again, the classic symptoms are cough, shortness of breath, fever. If you've been exposed and have symptoms, or if you have a recommendation from a medical professional to get a test, then I'm asking you to get a test. It's important for you. It's important for your family. It's important for the state. It's important for, especially for the most vulnerable members of our state, those who have underlying chronic health conditions or advanced in age. And it's really important for those people who are on the front lines, the doctors and nurses and respiratory therapists, the EMTs and paramedics and all of those individuals. And it helps as a state, the more we test, so the more that we know. You can go to ldh.la.gov for testing locations around the state. And I think we're still fighting this. I want to address it head on. There is no stigma with being tested for COVID-19. There is no stigma if you get COVID-19. And people shouldn't think about it in those terms. Think about it as an opportunity to help keep yourself healthy and safe and alive, and your family members and people in your community, especially those who are most vulnerable. And understand, we've had some of the wealthiest people in the world contract this disease. We've had the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. We've had members of the royal family. There is no stigma. This is not something that you get. And by the way, we shouldn't have a stigma with anything that presents a public health challenge. Any disease that you've ever heard of. But this is not one that you get based on behavior that some people might find objectionable. Many people get this disease and they'll never know where they got it or who they caught it from or whatever. So everybody should just get that out of your mind. Get tested. Get tested. It's the right thing to do for you, for your family, for your community, and for the state. The good news about getting the coronavirus for the vast majority of people is that they will survive. And in fact, the vast majority won't even need hospitalization. But those who do need hospitalization really obviously do need it. And so if we're going to be successful, we have to do more testing. We have a part to play in that, but the public, you also have a part to play in that. Most importantly, as we move forward and we open up the economy, what we do is going to be informed by the testing that we do and the ability to contact trace to go back and make sure that everyone who came into contact with someone who subsequently tests positive during that period of time when that individual would have been expected to be shedding virus, to be contagious, we need to be able to call them. So if we're not getting tested, then we don't have a basis from which to to do contact tracing for individuals who are positive but untested. So we need to make sure that everybody's doing that.